Tonight, I had planned to unwind at a play, but my mother-in-law had different ideas. She arrived unexpectedly, accompanied by 9 friends, assuming they could all stay at my house while I was out. Despite my prior plans, she insisted on leaving their belongings at my place and asked if I could prepare dinner and sleeping arrangements for everyone, as if my evening was theirs to command. Caught off guard by her audacity and the necklace she wore, a piece I held dear, my frustration boiled over. I couldn't take it anymore. "I'm actually about to leave for a trip," I informed her, watching her surprise unfold. That was the breaking point. After enduring her relentless demands, I finally asserted myself. "Please return that necklace." It was time to establish the respect and boundaries I had long overlooked. My name is Jennifer, a 32-year-old who transitioned from an administrative role to teaching computer classes after getting married. My husband, Jordy, manages his father's company and often seems preoccupied with its challenges. Our cherished moments together, like movie dates, bring invisible relief, a sight that warms my heart. Although I've always been more of a listener than a talker, Jordy encourages me to voice my thoughts more confidently. My older brother has always been protective, which I once found stifling. Now, I see it as a form of support, much like what Jordy provides. Jordy's brother serves as vice president of their father's company, and his wife, Emma, who is about my age, is also part of our intertwined lives. Emma has always been someone I admire, ambitious, dependable, and kind-hearted. What truly stands out about her is her assertiveness and the way she confidently expresses her views, coupled with a remarkable ability to be understanding and adaptable. Witnessing her stand up to our mother-in-law was nothing short of impressive. Unfortunately, Emma and her husband live quite far away, which means I don't see her as often as I'd like, a fact I often regret. On the other hand, my mother-in-law carries herself as if she owns the company. As the president's wife, she exudes confidence, but her stubbornness and arrogance are unmistakable. She frequently pressures me, insisting, "Jennifer, you're Jordy's wife, the president. You should quit your job as a computer instructor and fully support your husband." While Jordy stands by my choices, her dissatisfaction is palpable, and I'm thankful we don't live too close to her. I've always envisioned a simple, peaceful life with Jordy, perhaps even with children in the future. However, everything changed when Jordy's father unexpectedly passed away from a heart attack. It was a shock to us all, leaving Jordy and his brother to navigate the future of the family business. During this turbulent time, Jordy decided to relocate to Philadelphia to work at the company's main office, while his brother stepped up as the new president, with Jordy becoming vice president. We found a cozy house in Philadelphia, slightly removed from the hustle and bustle, and a bit far from the nearest train station, but it promised a peaceful, sunlit life. With all the changes at work, Jordy often came home late, so I took it upon myself to ensure our home was a warm and welcoming place. I prepared healthy meals to support Jordy during these challenging times, and as the weeks turned into months, his appreciation for my efforts became increasingly evident. "I'm back. I'm starving," he would announce as he entered the house, to which I would respond with a smile, "Thanks for working so hard, I'll make dinner." One day, he mentioned, "Hey Jennifer, my mom wants to visit this weekend. Is that okay?" Knowing she might be feeling lonely after the loss of Jordy's father, I was more than willing to welcome her. "Of course," I replied, although I was aware that we still had some tidying up to do. "She'll be welcome," I assured him, and he quickly said he'd let his mom know. He then suggested inviting his brother and Emma too, to which I happily agreed. It might sound odd, but relocating here meant I could see Emma more often, which turned out to be a delightful surprise. That weekend, we gathered to catch up and reminisce about my father-in-law. It was a bittersweet occasion. While we all felt the loss deeply, I didn't want to dwell on sadness forever. "My mother has picked up a new hobby," Jordy's mother shared, her effortless elegance shining through as she spoke. "Today, She wore a stylish light purple scarf that added to her commanding presence, even if she seemed a bit thinner than before. Her authority was especially noticeable when she offered advice to Geordie and his brother on business matters. Since the passing of my father-in-law, I noticed that Geordie's mother became more exacting with me. "Jennifer, we're running out of drinks. Could you go buy some?" she directed at me. Just then, Emma offered to go instead. "Oh, could you? That would be helpful," she replied to Emma, her tone noticeably softer than how she spoke to me. I suspected she was struggling with her grief, so I chose to overlook her sharp comments for the moment. After dinner, Geordie kindly drove everyone home, marking the end of the evening. However, this was just the beginning of more frequent visits from my mother-in-law, who soon began critiquing how I maintained the house, voicing complaints about Emma, and even rummaging through our fridge uninvited. "Jennifer, Geordie is so busy right now. You should be careful with the meals you prepare for him. What if he gets sick too?" she cautioned me one day, followed by a remark about some leftover trash. "Can't you clean up properly?" Her criticism seemed endless, a way to pass the time, but it was always directed at me, never at Emma, who she would quickly dismiss with claims of other engagements. It wasn't that she disliked me, perhaps it was simply easier for her to boss around someone who didn't argue back, unlike Emma, who always stood her ground. This environment made me consider getting a job just to spend less time at home. However, even after securing a position, the situation with my mother-in-law only intensified. "Jennifer, we're out of teriyaki sauce, so pick some up while you're out," she commanded, even as she brought leftovers to take back with her. Her sense of entitlement often left me speechless, especially knowing she could easily afford such things herself. Then, one day, a deeply cherished necklace, a keepsake from my mother, vanished from its usual spot. My immediate suspicion fell on my mother-in-law, who was frequently at our house and seemed too familiar with where I kept my belongings. After a fruitless search, I reluctantly confronted her, only to be met with fierce anger. "You probably lost it yourself. How dare you accuse me? What kind of person are you?" she shouted. I tried to explain that the necklace was a special keepsake from my mother and held immense sentimental value for me, but her response only deepened the wound. "I don't care. It's just a necklace. Why don't you ask Geordie to buy you a new one?" she replied dismissively. Realizing she couldn't grasp the importance of the necklace, I decided to drop the subject. But then more things began to disappear, money from my wallet and various items around the house. Despite keeping a wary eye on her, I never caught her in the act. Exhausted and confused, I confided in Emma, who agreed that my mother-in-law was the likely culprit, given that no one else had such access to our home. It saddened me to think that way, but without concrete evidence, I felt powerless. Seeing how troubled I was, Emma suggested a getaway. "You need a break, Jennifer. Why not join me for a short vacation?" The idea of stepping away from it all was appealing. I felt drained, and the thought of a little escape was rejuvenating. So, 3 weeks later, as Geordie and his brother prepared for a business trip to meet with a company in another state, Emma and I finalized our plans. "I'm heading out, Jennifer. Just relax and enjoy your time," Emma encouraged as we got ready. "Take care," I replied, grateful for the chance to recharge and hopeful that a little distance might offer some perspective on the chaotic happenings at home. I packed early, eager for the respite that awaited. My travel bag was ready by the door, and I was just about to leave when the doorbell rang. Curious, I checked the video feed and saw my mother-in-law standing at the door, not alone, but with a group of friends in tow. "Hi Jennifer, I brought some friends. Can you let us in?" she greeted me as if it were a normal visit. Opening the door, I found her and about 9 friends, all laden with heavy bags. "We're staying over tonight. Make us feel comfortable," she announced, as if it were a done deal. "Didn't I mention? We're going to see a play nearby tonight, and since it ends late, we decided to stay here," she added casually. This was completely unexpected, especially since I was about to leave for my plans when my mother-in-law interrupted. "Oh, did I inconvenience you? Bella told me you were okay with it," she said, trying to justify her imposition. I was taken aback by her audacity. "I'm sorry, but I wasn't informed about this, and I already have plans," I replied, trying to maintain my composure. She seemed surprised but quickly retorted, "But you'll be back soon, right? We'll just drop our bags and go out for a while. Can you make dinner and set up beds for us?" Ignoring my stated plans, she acted as if everything was already settled. "I can't. I'm going on a trip with Emma." "Oh, just for Emma? You can go anytime. We've come all this way just for today." "How long are you going to make us wait?" she persisted, completely disregarding my needs. Then something caught my eye, a glint of metal around her neck. It was the necklace, a cherished memento from my mother. "Wait, that necklace you're wearing," I began, my voice trailing off in shock. To my astonishment, it was indeed the same necklace. "Bella, where did you get that necklace?" I asked, trying to keep my composure. "Why, it's just one of my collections." "Is there a problem?" she replied smugly, clearly enjoying the control she felt she had. "That can't be right. That necklace is rare, a limited edition," I countered, feeling a mix of anger and betrayal. Just then, Emma arrived, puzzled as to why I hadn't met her as planned. "I was wondering why you didn't show up at our meeting place and didn't contact me." "So, this is what was happening," she said upon entering. "I'm sorry, I couldn't get in touch," I replied, the stress evident in my voice. Noticing my distress, Emma quickly picked up on the tension. "What's going on?" she asked, her eyes darting between me and the necklace. I was upset and blurted out, "The necklace she's wearing is the same one that belonged to my mother, the one that recently went missing, the one I kept in that special box." I explained, barely holding back tears. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Emma spoke up loudly enough for everyone to hear, reinforcing the significance of the necklace and its sudden mysterious appearance around my mother-in-law's neck. In a hushed voice, desperate to keep the matter from her friends, my mother-in-law whispered, "Can you both stop this? It's embarrassing. Do you want to accuse me of theft?" Her face flushed with indignation. "Yes, I find it suspicious," Emma replied firmly, not backing down. "Do you have any proof that I stole it?" my mother-in-law shot back. "It's embarrassing to have such unreasonable daughters-in-law. Please don't make a scene in front of my friends," she added, turning back to her group with a forced smile. "Well, let's go inside, everyone." She attempted to usher her friends inside when a crucial detail flashed in my mind. "Bella, can I have a look at the necklace, please?" I asked, needing to confirm my suspicion. Emma circled behind her for a closer look. "Enough of this. What's your mother's name?" my mother-in-law snapped, trying to dismiss us. "It's Amanda," I replied. There it was, I spotted the engraving. "The initials AR are right here," I pointed out. Upon seeing the engraving, her friends looked horrified and began distancing themselves. "Stop this. I didn't come here for this. Let's go, everyone," my mother-in-law urged, her tone frantic. "We're not letting you leave," Emma declared firmly, blocking her path. The friends, sensing the growing tension, muttered, "We're not involved," and quickly made their way toward the subway. "There's been some mistake," my mother-in-law stammered, attempting to follow her friends. But she was stopped by an unexpected presence. "What are you doing here? Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip?" Jordy stood there, his arrival surprising everyone. It turned out that his supposed business trip was scheduled for the next day. He had given his mother a false date to see how she would act, a plan devised after Emma informed him about the missing items from our home. Having visited his childhood home and found similar items missing, Jordy had begun to suspect theft. But without concrete evidence, he knew any accusation could easily be denied. "What are you doing here?" Jordy demanded. "I was just leaving," she replied, attempting to escape the situation. "Give it back." "That necklace isn't yours, it's a keepsake from my parents." "Why do you have it, Ma?" "I demand an explanation." "It's not what you think. I found it in my purse." "Jennifer must have set me up," she claimed, trying to shift the blame to me, panic evident in her voice. "Do you think such a lie would work? There's no way Jennifer would do something like that." "First, give the necklace back to Jennifer, and we'll talk after that," Jordy insisted. Reluctantly, she removed the necklace and threw it on the ground, then tried to flee. "Hey, wait," we called out, starting to chase her but stopping shortly after. We didn't need to chase her, the truth had already caught up with her. I was bewildered as about 15 police officers stood before my mother-in-law. The scene was surreal, and I struggled to grasp what was unfolding. Then one officer explained, "We received a report from a local resident. They said someone was causing a disturbance here and was often seen entering this house when the owners were away. They asked us to come quickly." "What are you talking about?" "I'm the mother of the son living here," my mother-in-law retorted, clearly annoyed. "Wait, what do you mean she entered when we weren't home?" I questioned, my curiosity piqued. "I never did such a thing," I interjected, trying to clarify that her visits were always while we were present. The police then shared more. "The informant saw her sneaking into your backyard, likely using a spare key to get inside." Indeed, we had a hidden spare key under a plant pot in the backyard. This revelation sent a chill down my spine and suddenly made sense of the missing items. Jordy had suspected something and planned to observe her actions today, but this turn of events was beyond his expectations. "Mom, why were you coming into our house when we weren't home?" Jordy demanded an answer. "It's all lies. Are you going to believe some unknown person's story over me?" she shot back. "But you did have my precious necklace, didn't you?" I pressed her further. "I told you, I found it in my purse," my mother-in-law maintained her story. One officer intervened. "Let's talk about this at the station." "But I didn't do anything," she pleaded. "Mom, stop this." "I can't understand why you did this," Jordy said, his tone firm. Hearing her son's words, my mother-in-law seemed momentarily defeated and collapsed to the ground. But just when it appeared she had given up, she burst into a rage. "After your father passed away, I felt so lonely. Seeing her always so cheerful, I couldn't stand it anymore. I wanted her to feel the pain I felt," she confessed, her emotions raw and turbulent. Jordy was visibly shaken by her irrational justification. Sensing the need to address the situation directly, I stepped in front of an increasingly upset Jordy. "Bella, I understand where you're coming from. Perhaps I've been too dismissive of our interactions. However, stealing and causing distress is an entirely different matter. Did you intend to upset me? Is that what you aim for?" I asked. "Don't be ridiculous," she snapped back. "Do you find joy in pushing someone to their limits with such twisted actions? Does it fill the void of your loneliness?" I asked, trying to grasp the depth of her actions. "Shut up. What do you know about me?" she yelled, unwilling to confront the reality of what she had done. "If you're feeling low, you should just tell us. We can't read minds," I attempted to calm her with reason. "Don't mock me. Why would I confide in you, you useless daughter-in-law?" she retorted angrily. "Mom, Jennifer has a point," Jordy chimed in, trying to mediate as the tension escalated. The police, observing the situation deteriorate, intervened and suggested we relocate to the station. "Are you actually going to arrest me?" "I can't believe this," she protested vehemently. However, due to multiple eyewitness reports of her unauthorized entry and the suspicion of theft connected to her possession of my belongings, the police decided to detain her. My mother-in-law was arrested on charges of unlawful entry and theft. Continuing to assert her innocence, she demanded legal representation and refused the meals provided during her visit. Her father expressed disappointment and encouraged her to sincerely contemplate her actions. His stern reprimand prompted her to tearfully apologize, showing a rare moment of submission to his authority, the only one she seemed unwilling to defy. He cautioned her that without genuine introspection, she shouldn't expect a welcoming return home. Reluctantly, she appeared to acknowledge the gravity of her situation. Perhaps the loss of her husband had left my mother-in-law adrift, with her flashy attire and jewelry serving as armor against her insecurities. I pondered whether her desperate treatment of me and my sister-in-law was merely a facade to mask her vulnerabilities. Nonetheless, her unchecked desires and poor impulse control were distinct issues, and it was evident that her flawed judgments had led to this unfortunate situation. I was stunned by how quickly things had escalated, especially after discovering that my mother-in-law had been using the spare key to enter our home surreptitiously. The thought of someone intruding into our personal space uninvited was deeply unsettling. Thankfully, our vigilant neighbors across the street, particularly the wife who worked from home, noticed her suspicious behavior and reported it. I am immensely grateful for their brave intervention, which has since allowed us to live more peacefully and ensured our safety. We updated our home security by changing all the locks and stopped placing a spare key outside. Jordy decided it was best to sever ties with his mother, insisting that she refrain from contacting us in the future. He even warned that legal measures would be taken if she attempted to reach out. After her release, she returned to her childhood home in the countryside and surprisingly adopted a simpler way of life, a stark contrast to her previously extravagant lifestyle. Under the watchful eye of her father, she began to contribute to household chores. I genuinely hope this change allows her to contemplate her past actions. In the meantime, my father moved in with us, primarily to safeguard against any unexpected visits from my mother-in-law. His presence not only serves as a security measure but also brings comfort during this exciting time, as I am expecting our first child. The prospect of becoming grandparents has brought a new level of joy and support from Jordy, enhancing the warmth and resolve in our household. While material things may offer momentary pleasure, it's truly the company of loved ones that enriches our lives. As we settle into our current living situation, surrounded by family, we are dedicated to maintaining the tranquility and joy in our daily lives, cherishing the serene and supportive environment we've cultivated.